Welcome back to day 11 of Advent of Code, and today we're diving right in and we are working on some seating on a plane, seating system. So we have this input that of course we're going to copy paste into our input test here, and we're going to need to follow these rules, and each time there's going to be like several steps, and at the end applying these rules will not change the situation, the state, and this is where we want to break. So one thing that we need to be careful about is we don't want to change the array in place. We want to create a new copy of the array in order to apply all of these rules. So we're going to start right away with a class. Seating, why not, constructor. We're not gonna give it, we're gonna give it, oh, this is still some stuff from yesterday, let me remove that. So here we want to remove also the parseInt. Okay, we're gonna give it this. So here const s equal new seating lines. So here we have lines. So we're going to say this dot height equal lines dot length, this dot width equal lines of 0 dot length. So this is just some little utils to help us to facilitate, make our life easier. And what we want to do, what I'm thinking is that we are going to store this as a string. So we're going to be joining everything. So yeah, I'm not sure this is, you know what, let's just store it as a plain array. I think that's going to be, yeah, that's going to be fine. That we're storing this as a matrix. I think that's going to be fine. So we need one function which is to say next state, and it's going to return a boolean, which is has changed, false, and we're going to return has changed. And here we're going to apply the rules, and the two rules that we want to apply are these two rules. So let's yes, so here those are going to be the two rules that we're going to apply to the seats. And basically we're going to say while next state s dot next state, here we're going to say do nothing, and at the end we're going to have the final state. And I believe we're going to need to do something like counting how many seats end up occupied. So okay, so here we're going to say get occupied seats. So it's always good to create like the skeleton of an object when you create it, of a class. It helps clarify your thoughts and what steps you're going to take. So now let's clean a bit the screen and get started and implement that. So I think we also want to have something like display. It's just going to be this dot seats dot for each, oops, for each, and here we have a line. We just console log the line. So this we're gonna display here. Actually, here we can do s.display. We're gonna call this here at the beginning, and we're gonna make this run to make sure like we are in a good position. So we have our input statement, which is great. Now we can do the job of here fixing the next state. So what we need to do is we need to go over each element and update it. So as I was saying at the beginning, we need to create a new object. So let's do that right away. This is going to be const updated seeds, and this is going to be an empty array for now. And now we're going to say this.seeds equal, oh no, dot for each, I guess, line. Let me think. Yes, here we want to updated seeds.push. We want to push an empty array that actually we're gonna keep here, const updated. And here we're going to do all of the work with this array. We're going to go through each element of the line. I guess we're going to need also to get the index here. That's going to be a bit better. And here we're going to go, so the problem here is that each line is going to be a string. And I think it's better to make it an array. So yeah, let's make it here. Using the spread operator, we convert a string into an array of characters. That should be good. Let's go through each element again. So here this is going to be seed, and here this is going to be position x. So here instead of I, we're going to have the y, and here we're going to have x. Y and x. So now it's going to be, we're going to need to apply these rules. So we're going to paste them here. So if a seed is empty, so if seed is equal to L, in that case, we need to check the occupied seeds adjacent to it. So we need to check if y is more than 0, let's create occupied here. Occupied. So we need to check the one above. So this is going to be this dot seeds of y minus 1 and x. And occupied, you need to check if this is equal to, I forgot what is L and everything. So dot is a seed, it's the floor, and hash is occupied. So if this is equal to, oops, occupied, we need, before that we need to make sure, of course, that this dot we just need to make sure that y minus 1 is above 0. We're going to say if this y minus 1 is above or equal to 0, this is to avoid being doing an out of bounds, going like do this that seeds minus 1 would be like a bad thing. So we are preventing against this issue, and in that case we return 1, otherwise we return 0. And we're basically going to do the sum of each occupied seed. So we're going to copy paste that because we're going to be doing the seed after the current one vertically. So for example, if we take this seed, we are checking this one. Now we're going to be checking this one. So we're going to check if this is below this dot height. That's going to be one more time to avoid going outside of the bounds of the array. Now we're going to do the same. We're going to be doing the same with x. So I'm copy pasting this line, and we're going to say x minus 1 is above or equal to 0. I'm going to say y and x minus 1. So that's good. And let's do the same for x plus 1. Here we need to make sure this is below this dot width. So notice how like using this is saving a bit of time, a bit of thinking, because it's already stored, so we don't need to remember what is the height and what is the width. So it helps now. So this is occupied. So now we need to check if the seat is empty and occupied is equal to 0. In that case, the seat becomes occupied. So we're going to say updated.push and occupied is a hash. Else we're going to say let's move that here. Else if, actually let's move this comment in here, it's a bit cleaner. Okay, here we have if the seat is occupied. So if seat is equal to hash and 4 or more seats adjacent to it are also occupied. Okay, so 4 or more, that makes me a bit worried because I think we're gonna have to consider the seats in diagonal. Let's look for diagonal. Okay, one of the 8 positions immediately up, down, left, right, or diagonal from the seat. So we have to take into account diagonal, which is not something that I'm doing here. So now it becomes a bit painful. So instead of having this long thing, we're going to do a double for loop, I believe. So let occupied, otherwise that's going to be a bit annoying. So we're going to say for like a for loop. Don't I have something to? Yes. For I below 3. Oh, actually, I should be equal to -1 and b and go up to 1. Here we need to say let j equal -1 again, j below or equal to 1, and j plus plus. So here that's a bit long, but we are making sure we're going in all of the right places. Now we need to make sure we need to make sure I is not 0 or j is not 0. So that's the first condition here, to make sure we are not checking the current seat. So what we're doing a for loop to go, if we were considering this element, we're checking these 3, then these 3, then these 3. So we need, of course, to make sure to not consider the current seat, that's this. Then we need to make sure to take into account all of these edge cases. So we need to make sure y plus I, let's say, yeah, y plus I is above or equal to 0. Y plus y is strictly below this dot height. And then x plus j is above or equal to 0, and x plus j is strictly below this dot width. And now we can check, in that case we can check if this dot seats of y plus I x plus j is equal to hash. In that case we can say occupied plus plus. That was a bit long, but I think we got our count and we counted all around all around of our position without going outside of the bounds of the array. So here, if occupied is equal to 0, then the seats becomes occupied, and here if there are 4 or more seats adjacent to it that are also occupied, the seat becomes empty. So here we need to say if occupied is above or equal to 4, in that case updated.push, it becomes empty, which is L. and otherwise we just don't change. So we're going to say updated.push, and here we're going to say seed, which is the same value that seed had. So I believe this is correct. Let me make sure here. Otherwise the seed stage does not change. So yeah, we're going to copy paste that here, you know, to make things very clean. Now we have our updated seeds. That has the right data. So we need to say this.seeds is equal to, oops, updated seeds. So here we are updating the seeds. One thing we should not forget to do is has changed, the value here. Here has changed is set to true, and here has changed is set to true as well. And here we don't change, the value has changed. That should be good. You know what? I think we're going to be doing here just a one s.nextState and then s.display. Let's do that. Okay, assignment to constant variable. That's typical mistake that I'm doing. If you've followed the previous videos, you've seen that a couple of times. Okay, so here we are not displaying the things correctly. Oh yeah, here I forgot to. So if you remember, the seeds is an array of strings, and here we have something that is not a string but that is an array. So here we're gonna make it a string. We're gonna say let here, and we're gonna do updated plus equal here. Updated plus equal hash. That's a different way to update, but thanks to that, we're going to keep the data structure, which is a list of strings. Seed. We need to make sure we have the right stuff. Okay, so here, the first update is just changing every else into a hash. That is correct. So we're good. Now we can just make this run until it's finished, and then we can display the end result here, which looks like that. A bunch of else, and yeah, so the first line seems the same, last line seems the same as here. So now we just have to count how many occupied seeds there are. That's going to be a simple for loop. These let's actually create a counter. So let, this time we use a let. Occupied is equal to 0. Say this dot seeds dot for each line, and here we're going to say I wish we had the count thing like in Python. Here we're just gonna do you know what, we're gonna do it simple way with for each again. Yeah, this is gonna be called seed. I'm gonna say if seed is equal to hash, then occupied plus plus, and we return occupied. Now we can here console, we can log here s dot, what is it again? Get occupied seeds. Thankfully, I'm thankful for the IDE to help me here. We're gonna comment out these displays because we don't really care about that. So we have 37, which is the right thing. So here we take this huge matrix, paste it here, and here we just have to run that. I think we should be good for this part 1. Yes, we're good. Let's go to part 2. You realize you made a mistake. People can't just care about adjacent seeds. They care about the first seed they can see in each of those 8 directions. Oh, that's going to be interesting. Now, instead of considering just the 8 immediate adjacent seeds, consider the first seat in each of those directions. Okay. Okay, so that's going to be interesting. That's going to be another challenge. So in each of those 8 directions, that could be a lot of computations if we do that without thinking about it. So I'm worried there might be some optimization, but you know what? I think we should go slowly and do that one step at a time. Empty seat would see no occupied seats. Yeah, this one would see no occupied seats at all because it's in 8 directions. Whew. It now takes 5 or more visible occupied seats. Okay. Well, that's going to be interesting. So basically, we're just going to have to copy this next state and change it a lot. Next state 2. We're going to keep this has changed. What's happening here? Make sure we copy everything here, not make any mistake. So here we can fold that. Oh, I've messed up here big time. Have next state. Okay. So here we have just everything that we need, and here we can write next state 2. So what is going to be changing is this function here. That's going to be interesting. So I think, are we still counting the occupied seats? Yes, we are still counting the occupied seats. So let's take this same initial state. The other rules still apply. Empty seats that see no occupied seats should be occupied. Seats matching no rule don't change, and floor never changes. Yes. Okay, so we need to do another kind of for loop. So I think we're going to be doing these these 8 for loops. So now what we're going to say is we're going to say const directions, and we're going to be just storing all of these directions. So there's going to be x1, y0. So that's going to be a bit annoying. Let me skip that. Okay, so we've got our 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. No, I missed 2. Okay, so now we've got our 8 directions. Yeah, nothing fancy about that. We're just going to the right, to the left, the bottom right, top left, top right, and bottom left, and here to the bottom and then to the top. So we are doing good. Now we need to go through each of these directions. So directions that for each, we're going to say here, that x is going to be called dx. Then this auto completion is annoying. Y is going to be called dy. So now we've got everything we need. Of course, when you're doing destructuring in an array function, you need to add the parentheses around the parameters here. Now we need to say while. So here, I think I'm going to do something a bit dirty. No, we need to say let x is equal to Let's position x is equal to x plus dx, and let position y is equal to y plus dy. And we're going to say while. So here we're going to be reusing a bit of that. We're going to say position of x should be above or equal to 0. Position of y should be above or equal to 0. And the same, we need to make sure we are below this dot width, and we need to make sure position of y is below this dot height. In that case, we can say position x plus equal dx, position of y plus equal dy. And before that, we need to check if this dot seeds. By the way, here what we're doing is that we're going to be updating this occupied thing. So here we're going to say occupied plus plus, but what do we need to check? We need to check if position of y, position of x is occupied with a hash. So we can remove this because we know we won't be using it. So by adding this at the beginning, you make sure that you're only considering the first element next to the start, not the start element, of course, that's very important. And then you make sure to check if this is hash or not, and then you move, and this is preventing from going out of bounds. So this never crashes because we're never out of bounds. And if we see that this is occupied, we have to break because we don't want to continue on the same length, same direction. So I think that's a bit complex. I mean, not super complex, but just like that's, yeah, we're just gonna see. You know what? Let's just see. I think there is more information here. 5 or more visible occupied seats to become empty, rather than 4 or more. So now we need to check if this is 5 or more. So here this is 5. You know, let's remove these comments because we don't need them anymore. Code is clear. This is clear what we do here. So we check the occupied seat for next visible from the current seat, and then we do the changes if needed, and we still save the has changed boolean. We still update the matrix and swap everything. Now we can do this again. We're going to be doing this here. So we are creating a new seat. So seed 2, and the reason for that is we want to like this seating is going to be updated here. So here S is going to be totally messed up, so we want to start again from scratch. So this is good that we created this object, and here we just basically need to copy paste this code. We want the occupied seats for S2. Let's try here. We see 37 for S2, which is not looking good. Oh, I know. Here I said next state, but we should be using next state too. So that's a bit of a problem when you're using you're appending a 2 to after a function. That's good for prototyping, but not very good for production code. We should count 26. Oops, we should count 26 unoccupied seats, which is not what we are counting. So this is something that we need to fix. The simplest way to fix is to check here the couple first states. So here we're going to be displaying, we're going to say this S2. So see, that's really adding a number can be a source of error. So it's good to not do it usually. I'm going to add a console log dash 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 to make sure I see the different states here. So here this is basically the first state where everything becomes a hash. That's correct. then we have just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 seeds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 seeds. So that state is correct. Interesting. Can I just double check here? We need to change how many seeds end up occupied. So that should be correct. s2.getOccupied seeds. I think that's good. So let's continue to debug this. Actually, we can check the last state right away. Here we have, actually, you know what? It's hard to compare things. So I'm gonna be pasting it in a new file and comparing it with this. So we can clearly see that we have an issue here. Oh, I don't know what happens with these dots. Maybe the dots are, I think I didn't read that carefully. So the leftmost seed below would only see one empty seed but cannot see any of the occupied one. So that's one thing. That's one issue that I didn't care about in my implementation, which is that here we are basically going to the end of the row, whatever happens. And we need to check here. We need to say if we see a seed that is empty, so with the L here, we need to break. Basically, we need to stop on the first seed that we see. So if this is no seed, that's okay. If this is filled seed, we say occupied plus plus, and if this is, no, I'm not sure about that, to be honest. Let me see that again. Leftmost empty seed below would see only one empty seed but cannot see any of the occupied ones. So that's correct. That is the correct thing that we need to add. Let's check here. We have the result is 26. The result that we should see here is 26. So we found a true bug. I'm going to be copy pasting everything now. We're going to be clearing the output here by removing this. And we have this new number. Let's check that. And this is it for today. Thank you very much for the support. Please drop a like and see you in the next one. Bye bye.